Hello and welcome to another edition of Resources for Life TV at resourcesforlife.com. My name is Greg Johnson, and this is a follow-up video to a previous video on the topic of bicycle safety in the city of Iowa City specifically, but just in communities in general. I had posted a video, actually I've posted a few on this topic, but just the other day I posted a video on this topic, and somebody I really respect and look up to and admire, follow on Facebook and things this person posts and writes and such, responded to my video and had like a totally different take on this issue. So I was really interested to find out what other approach there could be to this topic. So essentially the alternative view to having bike paths or bicycles on sidewalks or bike trails perhaps, is to advocate for bicyclists' rights to be alongside motor vehicles. And the point being that if cyclists don't demand the right to be riding in the streets, there's so many motorists out there, people driving cars and trucks, that those people could, being the majority anyway probably, just say, hey, we don't want bicyclists in the streets, and if cyclists don't stand up for their right to be in the streets, they could lose that right. So that's point well taken. There are a lot of places where there is no sidewalk, or to ride on the sidewalk would be unsafe or rude to the pedestrians on the sidewalk, and your only alternative, if you're going to be a commuter, it's not just out for a Sunday bike ride, but you're riding every single day to work and to do your errands and stuff. If there are areas of the community where you just cannot be on the streets because motorists said, hey, we just don't want bicyclists here, then it would be difficult to get around town on a bicycle. And the other point being, if bicyclists take what I guess I would say is my approach to things, which would be having bike paths, bike trails, allowing bikes in parks like this one or wherever, essentially considering bicycles to be kind of this hybrid between car and pedestrian, that it's like amphibious, in that sense. Anyway, if a person says, hey, we need bike paths, we need bike trails, we need bike lanes in the streets, well, what happens then is, if you begin to make the point that, hey, bicycles are kind of unique, they're special, they need special accommodations, in the same way, let's say somebody in a wheelchair says, hey, I need special accommodations. If you begin to do that, then people in the community can say, look, this is a lot of money that it takes to widen a street to add a bike lane or to put in a special bike trail. And if it's the case that bicyclists and bicycles require special accommodations, look, we just can't afford it, and you're a minority of people wanting to ride your bikes around, so you're just going to have to give up on that idea. So those are the potential pitfalls to viewing bicycles as some kind of special needs mode of transportation. And I guess I recognize that. When I'm in the street, I usually tend to hug the curb a little bit. And one of the points made by a few people out there is that's generally going to be more dangerous, because the car is going to try to sneak by you and maybe brush your your left side or something, and pretty soon you're on the ground. So that it's safer, according to this philosophy, it's safer just to be in the middle of the street, or like a motorcycle is supposed to ride in the middle of the lane or even on the left side of the lane, because then at least cars aren't going to try something stupid like, passing you halfway in the street, on the lane, sharing the same lane with a car and a motorcycle or bicyclist. So I guess that's the point being made by these advocates for bicycles in the streets, is let's look at bicycles as just like a motorcycle, it's just another vehicle. It's just it doesn't run on petroleum-based products, it runs on whatever you eat, Okay, so I acknowledge that. I recognize that those are some valid points. The thing that I'm having trouble understanding is bicyclists and bicycles, a bicycle as a vehicle is 30-40 pounds. That's a huge difference in weight between a bicycle and a car or a truck, and there's no way of getting around that. When I ride my bicycle, I've ridden 25-30 miles an hour before. I can do that, especially going down a hill, but most of the time I'm going probably between 8 and 12 miles an hour average. And sometimes I like to just slow down, Sometimes I'll even just walk my bike, just enjoy the scenery, When I'm in traffic, I'm a little bit nervous. I feel like, I need to pick up the pace here because I've had times when there's 10 or 20 cars lined up behind me if it's rush hour, and you feel sort of self-conscious about the fact you're holding everybody up, So there's this weight differential, the sheer poundage difference between, human plus car versus human plus bicycle. And then there's the speed differential, There are some cyclists who are really strong riders and they have a nice, let's say racing bike or something, and they're able to, 20 miles an hour isn't a problem, and so there's, a 5 mile an hour difference. Not a big deal, but because I do a lot of commuting, a lot of times I have my cart in the back. The cart gets really heavy, and I encourage people, get a bike cart, because you can carry your stuff around. It's less, you'll have less of a need for a car if you feel like you can really get your groceries in there and your laundry and other things in the cart. But it slows you down even more. So instead of being able to clip along at 10 to 15, 20 miles an hour, you've got this cart back there. Going up hills is really slow. And so anyway, there are times when you might be going 5 miles an hour. Now, if a truck or a car is going 5 miles an hour in a 25 mile an hour zone, I don't know for sure, but I think they can get a ticket for that. I mean, you're not supposed to be going a certain, extreme speed under the speed limit. It can cause a hazard, and so it's like, on the Interstate 80 here, we have people going 70 miles an hour. If you're trying to be out there and you're going like 30 or 40, that's a considerable difference in speed, so you can get a ticket for that. So I don't know how we're going to, reconcile those issues. The fact that there's not much protecting a bicyclist, or even a person on a motorcycle for that matter. At least you're going slower on a bicycle, but there's not much protecting you from these really big vehicles. And you're going a lot slower. Anyway, point reiterated. So I don't know. I have trouble with that, and I'm really conscientious if I am riding on a sidewalk. And just to give you an idea, the sidewalks here, it's okay to ride on according to the city laws here. But if you go just like a block that way, it's illegal. But then if you go 2 blocks that way, it's legal again. And if you go half a block the other way, it's illegal. But if you go half a block that way, it's legal. There is no set law. I mean, if it is scientifically provable that it's safer for bicyclists to ride in the street with cars, great, I'll sign up. But we need to have a consistent law. It can't be, that some sort of random choice of, well, we're going to pick these sidewalks but not these others, where it's legal and where it's not legal for bicyclists to be. And for especially Iowa City being a college campus town, we got people coming in here from all over the place, so they're not used to having bicyclists. They don't know about these local laws. They're not expecting to see a bicycle in the street. So, and here for motorists in town or who are from Iowa City, it's hard to remember, okay, on this street we have a bike lane. On this street we don't have a bike lane. On this street it's legal. It's okay for bicyclists to be on the street. On this other street it's illegal for bicyclists to be, or bicyclists are going to be on the street, off the street, in a trail, on a trail. And that's one final point is, what about trails? There are a lot of trails where bicyclists and pedestrians share that bike path, or hikers or whatever. And ultimately what we have to have, and there's no street, there's no other alternative. It's the bike trail, which is also shared with hikers or walkers. So ultimately what we need is just common courtesy and common sense between bicyclist drivers and pedestrians. So that's my spiel. Bye.